Nvidia CEO today did a keynote at SIGGRAPH. This is a conference that's mainly for computing graphics, and the company did announce some pretty cool solutions. On today's episode, I want to take a closer look at some of the hardware they announced and some of the software they announced. So let's take a closer look in today's episode. First, we can see Nvidia stock is pretty much down 1.6% on today. I want to say there was nothing too revolutionary about these solutions that they announced, but it kind of just showcases how the company continues to evolve in both their hardware market and in their software market. So the first update I want to take a closer look is an updated version of their Grace Hopper superchip, the Nvidia GH200, which combines a 72-core Grace CPU with a Hopper GPU and which went into full production in May. So this one, I believe, got a lot of people confused. I saw so many articles that Nvidia just announced their CPU GPU product. That's not the case. This is already in full production in May. What was actually announced today was an updated version of that. This updated version includes a different type of memory. The previous one was an HBM3 memory. This is an HBM3E memory, which overall improves the overall performance. It does mention that this dual configuration delivers up to 3.5x more memory capacity, 3 times more bandwidth than the current generation offering. And they do mention that this is expected to deliver systems based on the platforms in the second quarter of 2024. So it's pretty interesting how just a change in memory can make so much improvements. And obviously with large language models and the training of large language models, one of the things that's really helping out is the overall memory and memory bandwidth. So this is a pretty interesting one. And it's crazy how this chip it just started in full production here in May, and it's already getting some improvements. So I'm pretty bullish about that. But again, I want to say a lot of investors might have been a little bit confused with the headlines because it made it seem like it was today Nvidia was announcing the Grace Hopper GPU CPU superchip, but that wasn't the case. It was more of an advancement, and nothing really changes. Right, they're still already in full production for the original version. Now this extra flavor with different memory is expected for the second quarter of 2024. Kind of continuing here with hardware, there was another hardware that the company did announce, and this was a little bit more on their GPU side. So Nvidia today announced the Nvidia OVX servers. The OVX servers is really similar to maybe like the DGX servers, right? These are meant for more of accelerating complex applications for a lot of graphic solutions. And this is featuring the new Nvidia L40S GPU, a powerful universal data center processor designed to accelerate the most compute-intensive complex applications, including AI training and inference, 3D design and visualization, video processing, and industrial digitalization with NVIDIA's Omniverse platform. So we can see this is probably a little bit more meant for your kind of high-level content creation company as it deals with things like 3D design and visualizations and things within that matters. They do mention that the L40S enables up to 1.2x more generative AI inference performance and up to 1.7x training performance compared with the NVIDIA A100 Tensor Core GPU. So maybe you're not out there trying to buy a whole H100 system. Maybe you're just looking for some L40S GPUs, and we are seeing that they are kind of announcing more markets in that, more solutions in that market. They do mention early adoption among the first cloud server providers to offer L40S instances is CoreWeave, which specializes in large-scale GPU accelerated workloads. For those not familiar with CoreWeave, I actually just did a recording today with Billy on my semiconductor channel, and an episode will be coming out either today or tomorrow talking about CoreWeave. This is a company that NVIDIA invested in. It's a private company that deals in the cloud server provider. That episode was recorded before this one, and we do share a lot of great insights, so make sure to check out that semiconductor podcast. The link should be down below. But overall, we do see that the NVIDIA's L40S will be available starting this fall. Global system builders including Asus, Dell, Gigabyte, HP, Lenovo, QCT, and Supermicro will soon offer OVX systems that include NVIDIA's L40S GPUs. So we continue to see some great we see some strong innovation in the AI market from NVIDIA. But before we go any further, guys, I just want to say thank you for the support. We just recently hit 27.1 1,000 subscribers. I'm trying to hit 30 by the end of the year. So if you haven't, make sure to hit the thumbs up. If you are curious about the semiconductor market, I do have a membership on the semiconductor space where I share weekly videos. I do have a master's degree in electrical engineering and worked at some pretty cool companies before doing this YouTube live. If you want a special offer on some of the best stocks to buy right now, check out fool.com/Jose for my special offer there. And if you just want more of a free newsletter, check out josenaharo.substack.com. Finally, I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode. All right, so the next two solutions I want to say are more of like software-based solutions or more of clouding-based solutions, not really in the hardware side. And I do believe this is one of the great things about Nvidia, right? They do have their hardware, but they're also optimizing in their software or kind of clouding solutions. So today, Nvidia and Hugging Face to connect millions of developers to generative AI supercomputing. So for those that are not familiar with Hugging Face, this is this huge community of millions of developers that are kind of creating a lot of large language models and a lot of generative AI applications. If you are on Twitter, if you've ever seen kind of something shared about some cool new generative AI platform out there, more than likely it is in Hugging Face, and some developer there is working on it. So what Nvidia is doing is they announced that Hugging Face are partnering up to build generative AI supercomputer at the fingertips of millions of developers building large language models and other advanced AI applications. This is by giving developers access to NVIDIA's DGX Cloud AI supercomputing with the Hugging Face platform. So for those that are not familiar, NVIDIA is trying to touch everything. One of the things that one of the markets they're touching right now is the kind of AI infrastructure or the clouding infrastructure. Think of it as maybe like your Microsoft Azure or your Amazon AWS or your Google Cloud. Well, NVIDIA says, hey, look, I have all this infrastructure. I've created these amazing chips. Why don't I also offer some of these clouding solutions? And they did. This is called the NVIDIA DGX Cloud. So now DGX Cloud, if you go to Hugging Face, which I think was such a great move, where you have all these millions of developers developing a lot of generative AI or just advanced AI applications, now they can kind of, hey, here I'm in Hugging Face. I want to kind of get into supercomputing. I want to kind of train some of my models using supercomputing. With just a single click, I can kind of go into NVIDIA's DGX Cloud, which includes the A100, the H100, the L40S that we were just talking about. So this is pretty interesting, and I do believe it's going to be a great move for NVIDIA as they continue to expand into this clouding infrastructure that is kind of, to some extent, combating even Microsoft, even Amazon, even Google. So I think this is pretty interesting to see where this goes on. They do mention that this will be available in the coming months. I did mention I didn't think there was anything too crazy in today's kind of keynote. But if there is one, I want to say it's this one right here. I do believe this could be a really nice movement for the company's clouding infrastructure. Now, the final one I want to talk about is NVIDIA announced their AI workbench to speed up adoption of custom generative AI for world's enterprises. So they announced NVIDIA AI Workbench, which is a unified, easy-to-use toolkit that allows developers to quickly create, test, and customize pre-trained generative AI models on a PC or workstation, then scale them to virtually any data center, public cloud, or you guessed it, NVIDIA DGX Cloud solution. So it does seem like NVIDIA is trying to really kind of openize. I think openize is I don't even think that's a word, but kind of allow anybody to come and be a developer to some extent, right? And before, one of the things in the keynote that the CEO mentioned is that thanks to generative AI, we have made coding a human language, or we made human the coding language, right? Where back then, if you wanted to do something, you had to learn how to type in a specific code, which obviously used which use real words. But now to kind of code something, you can kind of use generative AI and use just your human sentence to say, hey, I want to develop a prompt that does this. I want to kind of create kind of process that does this and this, and kind of just use real world language to kind of create code. So overall, we're kind of seeing this democratization of coding, and this is going to be another way to kind of improve that as well. So this is, I think those were the pretty. There were other updates here in the keynote, but I do believe most of them were just dealing with the graphics market, obviously, because that is what the conference was intended for. I do believe those four that I just shared you are probably the most interesting one, and that all Nvidia investors should know. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.